something someone really asks.
And that's what you were saying, Judy. I know that, but
But
sometimes that
maybe
phrase.
it's maybe part of it's semantics too, because instead of real world, they're workforce.
Yeah.
Sometimes, again, the example of workforce, they're unhappy in the situation, they can't get up and walk out. They need to make it work.
I think there's a couple of things that we have to remember when you're talking about relevancy and individualized student learning and why we have this school set up the way we have it now. It's with standards, and you have to remember that standards are the bottom line of all. And so when you bring more relevant information into the learning equation, then you enhance and you extend what's going on. When you bring it to a person's interest, and you bring it to something that's relevant, then you put in a responsibility factor to that individual. If you start making things real, I've been out of the classroom over a dozen years, but when I taught my life skills math to LWD high school kids, one of the first things I did is I passed out all these magazines, picture magazines and stuff, and said, what do you want to have when you establish your own place? You know, what do you want your place to be like? And so they created a picture portfolio. And then from that picture portfolio, we had furnishings and clothing and cars and all kinds of stuff. We figured out how all of that stuff, at cost. We learned how to do checks. We learned how to buy things on time. All of our math lessons went to that picture portfolio and stuff that they wanted. And consequently, we ended up learning some real responsible skills in life that were life. And at the same time, they really, it made them sit up and pay attention. We didn't need technology. But what we did is we enhanced and extend. Technology is a tool. When you have students that are engaged, we have learning enhanced and it's engaging and it's extending the learning experience beyond just a skill. It's taking it to a new level, to taking that information and making their information. So
Sometimes we tend to reinvent the wheel. When Ben and I were brainstorming this, we talked about an idea, and I actually vlogged on it. I did do one. I did on the fine arts thing. But there is one group of people in our school that have had it figured out all along with project-based and formative assessment. That's your fine arts department. Yeah, these are the teachers sometimes when budgets get tight, we're giving them the keep home. Their lessons are purposeful. Kids know what their goal is. They got to get ready for the performance. They got to get ready for the portfolio. They got to take X amount of pictures. You won't see that many grades in a grade book early in the fine arts teacher. Why? We're still working on it. We're not there yet. If you don't do well on your first, we always talk about the sports metaphor. If you don't practice well on Wednesday, they don't take points off the board on Saturday. They don't. If you golf, you bet's a golfer. They don't take your average score. If you get better, it's whatever you're golfing at right now. So the fine arts seem to have that all figured out all along anyway, and we could probably take a lesson or two from there. We have about less than a minute left. We're just about right on time. Judy gave me the 5 minutes. We got through about a third of what we had planned. But if you want to go look at the questions and respond to them, just throw the URL up there. It's I went to Google Administrators Academy, so I'm going to call Google now. So I made my first moderator. If you use moderator, what a cool tool. And I mean, it's tinyurl.com /TF Summit. And there's a series of questions in there. You can vote on them. You can respond to them. Who put the video on one? We never got to it. She's out here. But somebody actually got a video that's inspirational on that to do that. Last thoughts, Ben.
I think one of the questions we're going to get to next was, and something to consider as we leave, and I'll just throw this question up real quick, was, I think we know the answer to this question. Without a doubt, we know the answer. There are so many great questions we didn't get a chance to get to. There's no doubt that there is, but it's how do we bridge that? It's how do we bring that, what they're doing at home, what they're doing on their own. Because I think one of the assumptions is that we need formal education for learning. And you saw the kid with the boat drill set. He's doing that on his own. He's learning. He's doing it in his own way. And I think sometimes we need to consider, how do we bring that in a way that's appropriate and meaningful? And again, we had this discussion this morning, that we don't necessarily want to push ourselves into their space, because sometimes, kids need their space. Think about when we were all in junior high or high school, would you have wanted your teacher coming over in the evening with you, hang out with your friends and saying, hey, I have a science book, we're going to do some science experiments and hang out with you guys tonight, we're going to learn, isn't this going to be great? Sometimes we try to do that when we try to get into their spaces like Facebook and some of their areas. We say, oh look, they're doing this, so let's try to replicate this in a way at our school. There is a balance there. Understand that, absolutely. We do need to respect their boundaries to some degree. But we can look at the way that they're learning, the way they're engaging, the way they're creating. And we can say, we offer them and afford them these experiences here in our classroom. Because the majority of kids will say, when I come into the class, I have to disconnect, I have to power down, I have to learn the way the teacher wants me to learn, not the way that I prefer to learn. Now, I would venture to guess, if I were to put you into a classroom, it was super technology rich, that had a brand new, different kind of computer you've never seen before, that I was asking you to do tasks that you weren't comfortable doing. As adults, and especially as educators, we have no problem voicing our opinions about things we don't like. I mean, what's the hardest audience to teach or to speak to or to go as teachers? You know that. I mean, teachers are talking to each other in the class, they're grading papers, they're doing all this stuff. And when kids do that in the class, and if your kids work on their history assignment because your class isn't doing it for them, you say, put that away, listen to me. What are you doing? And I think sometimes there is that disconnect between the way that they're used to it. And again, if you were in that experience where it's very challenging, you'd be frustrated. You'd shut down. You'd act out. And I think we'd have that empathy back for kids to realize just because of the way that we learn, just because of the way that we went through it, doesn't mean it has to be the way that they have to go through it. Because they're going to be demonstrating and outputting their learning in a totally different way than they would be expected. And I think that's the thing that I'd like to walk away from here, thinking that technology is just one of the tools we use, but there's a whole set of tools that we have. And it's thinking through that mindset of, through the student's eye, of what they're doing. I think that would make it relevant, it would engage them, make them more passionate about what they're doing, and increase their opportunity for learning. So that's my closing statement.
Got our next presentation back. Just give
There
the
you go.
title through the student's eyes. Thanks, Mark.
Beautiful. Thank you guys very much. Thank you.